This is Monica Perez here with our friend of the show. I've been on his Freedom Conversation podcast. I'm going to call you Dave the Canadian. I'm sorry, but that's what you are. So anyway, hey, Dave, how are you doing?
Well, I'm doing great. It's a beautiful sunny day, blue skies, no chemtrails, and I'm a farmer. So it's always beautiful. You know, it's one of those days. It's just like summer is here. The black flies are out. Flowers are blooming.
Yikes.
And I'm actually in an amazing mood. And I'm a big fan of yours, so thank you for inviting me.
Thank you so much. I'm so happy to have you. So you're in Halifax, right?
Yeah, I'm an hour and a half outside of Halifax in the rural Nova Scotia.
Yeah. So are your spring and summer kind of whatever, like my friend in Sweden? Like, is it that bad? How bad is it?
What do you mean?
How cold? Like,
how
much darkness do you have? What time does the sun set in January?
It's normal here. I'm not that high up there.
Right.
And the thing, you know.
Okay.
I'm only an hour from Maine, or I'm 3-hour drive to a ferry that takes me to Maine.
Okay.
In like 1 hour. So I'm actually pretty close to
that. I understand. Yeah. Okay. Because sometimes, I get so far up there that I worry about people's psyche.
Yeah. Well, I have lived up there with a slight change. I've been in northern Alberta for like one winter, and you feel it there a little, and it can get weird. Yeah.
Yeah. So I've been on your show, but that's not an opportunity for me to find out your backstory. So I'm wondering if you could just tell my listeners what I'm interested in, a little bit about your background and kind of how and when you woke up, and then also about your podcast and what the purpose of your podcast is. Because I think when I come on your show, it's unusually intellectual and deep and probing, and it's not really political, and so I'm interested in what and you put effort into it. You're a busy guy and you spend the effort to do that. So tell us about yourself and like what got you here and what you're doing.
Wow, that's interesting. You pointed something interesting. Could be things there. Well, we'll get through this one step at a time. I'm actually recovering from a stroke I had 3 months ago, so just bear with me, but I'll be fine, full recovery, but just to get that out of the way in case I have to ask you to repeat anything. But no, I'm fine. It'll be fine. Well, the podcast, should we start there? The wake up, the podcast, whatever.
Yeah. How did you wake up? Like,
but I'm not political.
I was raised by a libertarian, so I kind of this is just I was born to this way of thinking. But
you threw me by mentioning something that I guess I haven't realized about my podcast. You said it's not political, but I look at a lot of very quasi-political things, but go almost beyond or deeper than that to the human story and all of those facets. And to me, politics is a symptom of being alive, right? It's not, I'm an anarchist. So we'll get that out of the way quick, I guess. And or agorist, whatever. I've been refined from a far left anarchist to I had Trump derangement syndrome. We could go back that far.
Wow, really?
Oh yeah, let's start with Trump derangement syndrome.
I'm not going to let you get away with saying that you're a left anarchist, because I don't think there is such a thing. So you can tell me about that. But tell me about your TDS.
Well, it was not overly severe. I mean, I am in Canada, but it was the whole thing where it's like a businessman can become the president, therefore we're all fucked. Capitalism, that sort of thing. But it was COVID was the wake up. Of course, you shake your head and you think twice about everything your whole life. Literally in this country, you begin to think, are they going to just show up? Right? That's how bad it got here. People don't understand, I think, the full depravity of what happened in Canada during COVID. So that would be a big wake up to anybody. Or you go into the cult, one or the other. Some kind of psychological war erupted here, and it's still ongoing. Still ongoing for sure. We're still deep in the COVIDian psyop, but it's morphed and changed. So the podcast developed around the time of the Freedom Convoy, the truckers, of course, our beloved and famous truckers, and the inspiration to be an activist, of course, right? To speak out, speak up, and I was reading Alexander Solzhenitsyn at the time. So there's this variety of things going on in my mind at the same time. One, tyranny's almost at the door. We lost our jobs. My wife's a nurse. We were on front row seat to the whole scam here.
Why did she lose her job?
She didn't want. She did not want the injection.
Yeah, got it.
Yeah.
Just confirming.
And
I've got a few questions building up here.
Sure,
so keep saying what you're saying, and then I'll.
And so the podcast, it was kind of like, okay, Canadian politics, what's going on here? I'm just trying to dip my toe in there. But look beyond that, because I was reading Alexander Solzhenitsyn, and he said, you got to speak up. If you're living in a society filled with lies and you don't say something, there's something going on there, and you are going to descend further. So I thought, well, and I'm an entertainer of sorts. I've been in bands, a musician. So I'm not a stage fright. I'm okay. And I've played poker at a high level. So I can put on a poker face and do a podcast as if like I know what I'm doing, but I actually don't. And I'm an interviewer, not a commentator, as everybody can probably tell. That's a little about me. I'm a gardener, farmer, organic farmer. My wife works as a nurse. So as I said, that not political. However, we've just been through an election, of course, and we're probably going to talk about that, unpack that, because it's pretty crazy. So I'll hand it over to you.
Yeah.
If I've answered all of those things.
Yeah. So I got a lot of stuff out of that I want to ask you about, and then we can go into the bigger stuff. So one thing I want to say, we should get to this later. It's funny that people thought Trump is a businessman. This is terrible. When Carney was the head of the bank of another country. Like, he's your man. Anyway, so you said that you were still deep in the COVIDian psyop. Oh, what do you mean by that?
Like today? Yeah, they can just I hate the word trauma and traumatized. I really do. I think that that's an overused, over-medicalized term for big pharma. But there is a certain terror that everybody went through. I went through it. We all went through it. Like I became from a gardener to a prepper. You know what I'm saying? That's how concerned I was. But what else? What was the second part of that question?
So, well, I just wanted to know what you meant by the COVIDian psyop. If you were talking about actual people are still afraid of COVID, or they're
siloing the country. Sure.
Yeah.
The psychological operation's ongoing because people are still in a distended or suspended animation, or the what is Matthias Desmet, that whole thing, you know. Anxiety
what is that?
Well, that's the mass formation psychosis, and it gets overused. I know, but I know it's.
I didn't not for one when Robert
Malone.
Yeah.
I know.
Like, oh, he's so
weird
base.
thing
I'm
there.
like, like,
yeah.
don't,
So
don't be throwing those words at me and think that I think you're base. Like,
not. So I don't want to say mass formation psychosis here, but there's some kind of ongoing splintering of different things. There's there's provinces that want to separate, and they're getting very serious about it, at least online. And we're going to talk about maybe post-humanism later and technology.
I totally want to talk
and what's really going on in the world versus what's on the internet. So me personally, on my show and in my real life, I wonder what is real out there. When I close the laptop, it's the birds and the bees here.
That's real.
I don't live in a city, so I can't really gauge.
We do not live in a simulation either. That makes me crazy when people say that. But now, speaking of real and not real, I wasn't there. I didn't examine this, and I kind of stopped examining events in the news. So people think that I have a political thing. So I can I never could really read the news because it's full of lies. I have to do it, but so I used to be able to expose psyops, just point out the problems with them and prove they weren't true. I didn't look into the Freedom Convoy or anything, but anything that's gets a lot of public attention, I dismiss. And that could be part of the psyop, so that if something does bubble up to the surface, that's good. I'm not going to pay attention to it because everything's fake, in my opinion. That's on the news. So what did you think about the Freedom Convoy?
I was swept up in it for sure. And I saw a big assembly here from Halifax. There's a big group of them that went there, like the Eastern Squadron, if you want to call them like that. And there's men, women, and children up and down the highways waving flags. So there's something
that sounds real.
There's a populist vibe that is very palpable, and I was there. So, and hey, I don't know. It looked pretty real to me. And their dance parties they had for 2 weeks in the coldest month of the year every night looked pretty authentic. Versus what's going on now is the anti-Trump rallies where
Well,
that they're using the slogan like elbows up and they're dancing around. They don't really mean it. It's goofy. Anyway,
but what, as far as the Freedom Convoy, so yeah, that sounds real, and I'm sure lots and lots and lots of real people showed up. I know that's true for January 6th. I still have a really hard time believing that
mm,
anyone turned violent at all, even though I know people went to jail. I'm pretty confident that the reason the FBI hunted down every last person who who was in a picture posted on Facebook or whatever was to make sure that all those millions of hours of video never saw the light of day, all of which would have proven that it's completely peaceful. I've seen so much video myself.
oh, yeah, it's
So
peaceful.
yeah, real people show up, but there's a psyop around it. And in the case of the Freedom Convoy, what was its I don't want to go too far into this, but if you know the answer, it'd be helpful. What was the goal and what did it actually achieve? Like, why did you show up and how did it work out?
I didn't go to Ottawa, but I was there when the big group left from here, so it was a mini version of the big thing. So,
Fine.
so the energy was in the air. But yeah, our media does conflate that with January 6th. Completely different thing, really. No one charged any stairs or went over any walls or nothing like that.
I don't think they did that on January 6th either.
Yeah, so I mean, I don't even know what happened. I don't.
Yeah, right. Why would you follow?
Goodness knows what happens
Don't
there.
waste
Yeah.
your time.
Yeah, but
Yeah, so yeah,
and regarding
something like that.
psyop though, regarding psyop, maybe there was the cathartic
Right.
witchcraft that they've
Yeah.
done to, like that guy who assassinated. We talked about this when you were on my show. The guy who shot in the back that CEO of that drug company, Luigi.
Yeah.
He's famous now, right? They're still playing this psyop on the side too. Anyway, that's another issue. So maybe they
Yeah.
needed to pop that bubble because people are so pent up because of the
Yeah,
vaccine mandates,
totally.
and the truckers had to take the vaccine to go to the States, or some weird thing was happening. So that just snowballed and triggered into within 2 weeks. They organized that.
Yeah, but that's a
All
great
of a sudden, I was like,
report.
"What? There's trucks on the way to Ottawa? What do you mean trucks?"
Yeah.
Then the YouTube exploded, and it all happened. So there's something very hard to engineer by the military. I feel like that happened. Although maybe they steered it, got in there. I don't know.
Well, I mean, you can suppress the media on stuff. So, I mean, maybe it gets away from you, but I don't know, man. I've been
Our
in this,
media calls them Nazis, white supremacists, and
but they could call them
misogynists,
nothing.
and
They could just call them
fringe, fringe extremists. That's what our media calls the
yes,
Freedom
but
Convo.
that's feeding into the thing. So, like, what you really do if you don't want something to take off is you black it out completely. So
Mhm.
there has to be something to it. But I like that you use the word cathartic because that would work, in my opinion. That you've got people who are pissed off and you give them a relief valve and then they'll use it. And I mean, I do believe that the system is so controlled that if they ever were to make any headway, or if you did, I mean, you could go so far down the rabbit hole that you think Ron Paul is totally fake, but but Ron Paul's fake would be giving us back the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. Like, I'll take that. Like, I don't
Mhm.
need the Articles of Confederation. I'll take the Constitution. But if you go back and that was a function of a very dangerous desire by Americans to return to what we still remembered our parents and grandparents teaching us about the role of the federal government, the state governments, and the Bill of Rights and all of that stuff. They had to take that energy and redirect it, in my opinion, which they did to Trump, who emptied it of that really profound, archetypal American principle
Mhm.
and just said, like, people have been so mean to you for so long, and just like, I'm going to be mean to them for you. That's really that's what I think appeals to people. People really get mad at me for both. People on both sides of the Trump thing get mad at me. It's super annoying. But so how did Trump fold into, so I feel the Freedom Convoy maybe was cathartic. Okay, so how did the mood, when was that? 3 years ago?
2022 winter, February-ish.
Yeah, so 3 years ago. And so tell me about the last 3 years. Or I mean, I've heard you call Canada dystopian and you seem very like, is it worse than the US? Like what's happened? Tell me anything you can about how we got from there to here and maybe Trump's contribution to that.
Well, the ongoing tyranny that no one's ever got in trouble, or the media's never come out and said anything about all the mandates and all the damage from the medicine and all that stuff. And what really happened here, it's pretty crazy. My wife lost her job for 2 years and could work in the neighboring province, a 5-hour drive. So there's a weird gaslighting part of the psyop, right? Because our whole family's like, well, why is she allowed to work there? 5-hour drive, not allowed to work here in this province. So very bizarre, these things. And I can relate that to Florida right now, not to shift on you, but they got this geoengineering ban in Florida. To me, when I thought that, I thought that's what they did here with the vaccine mandates. Some places did it, some places didn't. Some places had curfews at 8:30, like Quebec had a curfew at 8:30 for like 6 months, twice during the COVID lockdowns. Can you believe this? The whole province. Anyway, you got me
That's
triggered
interesting.
with the convoy talk. Canadians just get really triggered because it was really intense, man, around here. It really was.
Because first of all, let me just say about you're pointing out something interesting about how it was different, like right next door to each other. That I could easily see that, among other things, being part of a fairly well-controlled psychological experiment. I mean, imagine the opportunity to take 2 years, 7 billion people. You can take people of similar cultures and treat them differently, or different cultures and treat them the same. I mean, the amount of data, and they have all the data because it all filtered through screens. It's really, really fascinating. So when I hear Elon Musk and Trump are pressuring the IRS or whatever, because they want access to their databases, I'm laughing. I'm like, okay, they already have everything, obviously, but they get somebody's got a cult of personality like Trump to have people turn a blind eye instead of say, hey, it's totally against the law. But anyway, so you said it was super intense. Is that because like here, there's that, I mean, we have one system that does not change. We have a welfare warfare super state. It's an empire that takes down other countries, that steals as much money as they have to out of your pocket so that you can't actually pull a Ron Paul and go and do anything. The system is the system. It's not going to change. Elon Musk running around firing people and replacing them with iPads or shifting it to something else isn't going to take care of the, whatever it is, 70% of the federal budget that goes to Social Security and Medicare and Medicaid, and the other 30% or 10%, whatever it is, that goes to defense. Like, it's not making any dent at all. Nothing's going to change. Yet the people on both sides of the aisle are so pitted against one another. It's crazy. Like, people, instant hatred. It's almost like you have to look and see, does this person have a blue star or a red star, and just hate them. And I have no star, so everybody hates me. So, but
there's some politicians in your country
bad?
I find really interesting. Anyway, I want to
ask tell me. Go ahead. No.
What's with this Cory Booker? Okay. Did he stand for 24 hours and talk as some kind of weird?
Oh, did he do a filibuster?
Yeah, I don't know. He broke some kind of record, and I heard that in your news, and I thought, well, that's strange. And immediately I thought that's some kind of really weird.
He said, "Oh, this was just last month with the where was I on April 1st? Marathons." It was not a filibuster. So a filibuster for us is where what I like is our system. One of the many things that they are eliminating is our system is super respectful of minorities. So if you had something that Congress wanted to pass, or Senate, I don't know if it's in both or what. I'm trying to remember, they can't even, if you do not have to yield the floor. So if somebody is standing up objecting to a bill and they can stand there forever, the bill never comes to a vote. It's like just one of many ways, and they need super majorities for some things. This was just looks like a PR stunt because
when I think about blackmailed people in our government and basically running the darn thing at this point, probably. Imagine your handler saying you're going to stand for 24 hours, and call me a conspiracy theorist, but that's the first thing I thought when I heard that story. Is like, why would he stand? These guys don't care about their own countries. I don't believe at all.
Yeah.
Why would he stand there explaining how the country needs to be fixed for 24 hours? Call bullshit immediately on this.
Yeah, and one thing that bothers me about all of that as well, and the Republicans do it too, they don't actually explain in detail what the problem is, what the legal problems are. So we had a congressman called Justin Amash. I think he was like a Palestinian Christian or something, or Lebanese Christian. He was out of, I think, Michigan. I could be wrong about all of that, but it's close. And what he would do every time something came up for a vote, he would post on his Facebook page what the constitutionally correct position would be. and why, and that's how he voted. And boy, he was the only people talk about other guys, Thomas Massey and Rand Paul and stuff, but that was all you needed. And man, that guy got just he's gone. Like he's gone. He left in like a blaze of Trump derangement syndrome, which was really, really crazy. But yeah, so they do nothing. It's all histrionics, and it doesn't. I mean, that's what I want. That's what I would like to do with my podcast, which I'm not probably going to do it because would be a full-time job. Is to talk about the actual principles and the laws that protect us. We don't need to just like throw monkey poop at each other. There's a real we should all be on the same page, and blacks and whites too. Like we should all be like, yeah, you want your Bill of Rights. It's not racist. The Bill of Rights not racist. So anyway, but do you feel like the schism with y'all is similar? Similar, like just two sides
We got the blue and the red.
No change is really going to happen, and it's just minor. Or do you have more than two parties? Like, how does it work?
Things are different here now because Mark Carney is now the chief of the ship. And if you want to learn about Mark Carney, you go to the World Economic Forum. You click search, which I have done. 331 hits, which is interesting numerology. If you click to 33, then add the 1. So he's the big cheese, right?
Oh,
even on their own website. I don't know. I'm just thinking out of the box.
Yeah.
As soon as I see any numbers with these people, it's like, okay, things are getting. Anyway, 331 hits, articles. Him and Bill Gates are having little Zoom chats about green economy, biosynthetic craziness. This is a bad situation. And before I didn't care. I was the happy anarchist, gardening all the time and just living my life, paying high taxes. The government didn't care about me, and I didn't care about them.
Right.
COVID changed all that.
Yeah.
To go back to your original question, like why the podcast? I would rather not do it, to be honest with you. But now that it's been a year, I'm having fun, right? I don't monetize, so I can say whatever I want.
Yeah.
If nobody, whatever. So it really is just almost like an art project in some sense now. Am I really an activist? No. Forget that. That's over. We're in the post-national state. That's what Justin Trudeau called it. As soon as he got elected, the very first day, he said, Canada is now a post-national state. It's like, what the fuck do you mean by that? Pardon my French.
Oh, I don't care.
I'm son of a sailor.
Me too. Well, I'm the daughter of a sailor.
Speaking of that, I listened to your from behind your paywall thing, the book review that you did of Blade Runner.
Oh, yeah.
Or the movie review.
Yeah, it was the movie. It was fun.
Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep?
Yes. Philip K. Dick, right?
Oh, man. That was a good discussion you had there.
I'll have to go back and read the book. I'm sure I read it years ago. I read all science fiction up until the point where I stopped reading it. I'd read it all. And
the post-human, the post whatever, right? This whole new discussion that's starting to creep into the alternative media space a little slowly. This post. Well, what did he mean? Post-national state. It means we're in a post-human state probably too. And this is going back to what do you mean we're still in the COVID psyop? It broke people, this thing that happened here. They're just like, oh. Mike Myers does this little elbows up thing on Saturday Night Live. What happens? The whole country goes crazy. They think
people
Donald
don't
Trump...
know about that here. I think,
yeah,
I think. Do they?
Well,
I guess it was here, so...
It was an outcrop of the 51st state psyop that started, where Donald Trump said he can open his mouth once here, and then Canada goes crazy. He said, well, they should become a 51st state. It'd be great. Yeah. People went crazy, the liberals, right? The vaccinated class, you could call them, who are the ones that are really gone now, I think. So they just swing. So the 51st state narrative swung everybody to vote liberal. Now you get Carney. So this is an international psyop between our countries. Yeah.
So the conservative guy you thought was going to win, is he like a kind of Trump guy, like in that mold, like the rest of that?
No,
there's some of that.
He's a real politician, in my opinion.
Does he have crazy hair?
No.
Okay.
He was on the Jordan Peterson podcast twice for like 2-hour conversations, which were very in depth. You learn a lot about him. You can watch him speak. Gauge for yourself. I thought he was a brilliant speaker, very educated.
Was going to win.
And he should have. I feel like he was supposed to win. I really do. But there's already talk now, boots on the ground here now, the fallout of rigging, the whole. So social media is just like, close the laptop.
It's probably rigged because he's the federal.
Of course it's rigged. I know.
He's the biggest. he ran the Central Bank of England. Like he's that how I can't. It's like Elon Musk. He's South African.
Oh,
It's like why is he
breaking news!
controlling
Breaking.
the government?
The new prime ministers, they do a speech from the throne. They sit in a big Masonic throne,
Oh
and
yes,
the
yeah,
King of England has been invited to do it because the Queen of England did it, like whatever,
yeah.
in 1977 or
And
something.
I just heard on the news today that it's going to reaffirm Canada's sovereignty. I'm like, okay, so the king is giving you permission to run your own country with a guy who used to work directly for him or whatever, like in that same
Yeah.
echelon.
It's become embarrassing, the
It's
level
yeah.
of propaganda that people are taking and running with. I don't know what's going on. People have no land, maybe, or something. I don't know. They're not getting outside. I think that the
Well,
technology, the cell phones, everyone's glued in, jacked into whatever's going on all
it
of a
might be
sudden.
a humiliation ritual to be this stupid, you know, like
I don't
that.
know.
It's kind of like the
And I
mask
don't and I
thing.
don't feel like some smart guy who's just breaking through the
No,
narratives. I'm
it's
not a
obvious,
psychologist. Yeah, something something's
but
something's up.
it's like the mask thing. It's they won't people won't really argue with you whether it does any good. Like if somebody wanted to, or they won't
Mm.
argue with that. They'll just say, you're antisocial or you're a Trump supporter or whatever. And I mean, that's the problem with. So I feel like you can say anything if they want to roll that thing out with Chucky 3 and Carney and people will just go along with it. It's people are intentionally suspending their disbelief. Like during 9/11 or like when George Bush was president, liberals, Democrats pretty widely believed it was a Republican inside job, which of course it was. But then
Yeah.
Obama got elected and they had to just pretend they didn't know that anymore. And they did. They did pretend they didn't know it anymore. And anyway, now I just feel like after 20 years, nothing matters.
I loved
They can
Obama.
admit it now if they
When
want
I
to.
remember when Obama got elected, yeah, I was living in Newfoundland, and
Oh, you
I
must have
think
loved
I
it.
might have almost even shed a tear. I was like, "Oh my
Yeah.
goodness, yes," because it was really
Yeah.
dramatic, right? They did a
Yeah.
good job
No,
on
it
that
was
one.
super cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I was educated in the universities here, man. I came out of freaking screaming, raving Marxist almost, for goodness sake.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Wow.
it was
Yeah.
a big
Oh,
turnaround.
I want to ask you about that. Yeah. So I lived in Atlanta at the time. And I mean, I just thought like, I'm not a socialist. I don't like socialism, but it would be really nice now that we've made it very clear that more than half the country. So, so you could say like there's socialists and there was conservatives, whatever, and obviously all the socialists are always going to vote Democrat, but it was an overwhelming majority. So like even people on the other side of the political aisle came over and voted for Obama to heal the racial divide. And
Mm,
I couldn't believe it. I was so happy. Everyone was so happy at the post office. People were like being nice to each other. And then before
interesting.
long, he brought the attorney general. I forget the guy's name. But they just absolutely escalated the racial divide like you would not believe. I grew up in basically a post racial America, and it is back with a vengeance.
I have
But
a George
yeah.
Floyd thing that I could tell you that you might find interesting.
Yes, please do.
Here in the hospital in Nova Scotia, and not in the city or anything, way out here, this small hospital. During that George Floyd thing, the Nurses Monthly magazine photographer came around to just shoot some shots for the thing. She said, "Can we get all the nurses out on the patio, get down on one knee with the whatever arm in the air for a photo, just to show or whatever?" And my wife was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
This is Nova Scotia. We're at a fucking hospital here.
Yeah.
Is my bad language.
I don't care.
We're here. What is this political stuff?
Yeah.
And then they thought maybe she was racist, and she's an immigrant to Canada. So what is going? This is the problem in Canada. People can't understand anything.
Yeah. Yeah.
It seems. I mean, sure.
And they make everything
Not everybody's a
racial.
whatever drone anymore at this point. But yeah,
Well, the racism thing has to, if we are going to have a Middle Eastern war that we're
like
involved in,
Kashmir.
yeah, they have to suppress speech somehow. And the way to do it is to make sure you've got, a racial, anti-Semitic bent, whatever. So
Yeah.
that is going to come in handy.
The
The racism.
trans thing here is off the rails. especially now because Donald Trump has inflamed the left here to even a crazier degree. It's probably going to uptick the surgeries, for goodness sake. People are
For
really losing.
kids. I mean, for
Yeah,
grown-ups,
here.
it's okay. They don't
Yep.
they don't focus on the grown-ups because people won't do it. You're just not gonna
Mhm.
get that many grown men cutting their dicks off.
You gotta have kids, and a site of that magnitude, you have to have the children. You have to. And the Fabian Society
Yeah.
that runs Canada, they're all about this stuff. They're all sexologists from like the 1800s. We started this secret society of Justin Trudeau's father, who he was a member.
Oh,
Fun
just
fact.
like Elon Musk's grandfather was the
Mm.
Technology Incorporated guy.
Oh, shocker.
So how we see this ridiculous stuff that keeps everybody engaged, the stuff in the media, we can talk about the media, and then and that's at one level, and it's hard enough to convince people that I mean, I laugh. I cannot. I mean, I had to dinner last night with some, or I was invited to some really lovely ladies, and I try not to say anything, but they were talking a lot about Trump and everything. I was like, look, Trump was created by the head of CNN. He had a TV show. They're like, "What are you talking about?" It's like, you don't know that he had 14 seasons as the boss. 14 seasons. And they're like, "Really?" I'm like, "What? How do you not know that?" He's an actor and he was trained by the head of CNN. He
Mhm.
won without spending any money. So this is so obvious to me and people don't see it. Try to peel that back and say, not only that, but have you heard about the Tavistock Institute? Do you know what the transgender thing is all about? And even I, like, it's the magnitude of the transhuman agenda is so great, and the possibility that it is in itself a psyop is there. So
Yep.
it's possible, like the AI thing. It's like we are all powerful. Like that's a
Yeah.
that's a good way to get people to just throw up their hands. So how do you what do you think about the transgender thing, a transhuman thing, either one, but the transhuman agenda? Is it
They're connected.
real? And is it real? Is they surely they don't believe
Well, it
they're
depends
gonna
on what
upload
aspect
their
of the agenda.
consciousness. Yeah.
No, that would be the singularity. That's
Okay.
BS, in my opinion. That's
Got
BS.
it. Yeah. See, I can't believe that either.
That's not
And you
how
could never prove
consciousness
it anyway.
operates. Consciousness leaves the body, you're dead, probably.
Yeah,
It's,
but
I
you
mean,
could program an AI to act just like you. And then you could have a huge business telling people that
no.
this is, your mom's still alive, meet her. You know what I mean? But it wouldn't be her consciousness and there would be no way to prove it.
I
So
would love to believe that. I would love to, but I just
no,
can't.
it's not happening. But you
And
could
it's
program it for
it's not
sure.
even just that I think that's crazy, but I feel like I'm alive.
Yeah,
I'm not a
no,
machine.
it's
And I
not
don't
gonna
want
happen.
so that in answer to your question, yeah, no, yeah, there's something weird going on with it. Yes. Can we join the machines, live forever and all that stuff? No. There is they're leading us into hell on earth, I think, in some sense, what they have planned, but we'll see.
What is the so it's not you're not gonna do the singularity, but what are they
No.
after? Tell me about it.
Yeah. Well, look, the currency, of course. First, the economy, the chip, whatever, the ID you guys have going on down there, facial recognition to get on
Yeah,
airports now all over your country there, I'm hearing. I don't know.
really
That's
funny.
good.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just, I think facial recognition is going to be a game changer for life on Earth, human beings in the Western world for sure. It's going to unlock everything, maybe. And in my town, there's like 50 self checkouts all counted and combined from all the shops here. And a self checkout system really is like a invisible slaves. And the economy just drains of money rather than having, I don't know, no one's making that money, right? And you can calculate all the hours. Anyway, do you have those self checkout systems there, by the way? Just a little side question for you.
Are you saying, like, when you go to the grocery store, you don't have a cashier?
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, in one of the airports, you don't even have to do that. You can just walk in and walk out,
Right.
and it, like,
Right. So here we go. Yes. It's
we
great.
have that in
It's,
the
yeah.
airport. Yeah.
Yeah. It sounds great, right?
If you have a credit card in your pocket, you just go shopping and walk in and walk out. It's kinda nuts.
It's hard to predict because so many things are happening at once. And I feel like Canada has stepped on the gas on many agendas. I asked two guys, more politically astute thinkers, to talk to me about the election here and all that stuff. And I asked them, the first question was, do you think we're going to be eating the bugs by Christmas?
Yes, I listened to that episode. Yeah.
And it's like a legitimate question at this
And they
point.
were just like,
This is
"Not
the
by
bug eater in chief.
Christmas."
This guy, yeah, yeah.
Not by
This is Mr. Bug
Christmas.
Eater. Like, oh my
Yeah.
goodness. And he's a banker. We know them. They're blood drinkers, probably. Who knows?
Yeah, drinking the baby's blood.
But
Speaking of which, we don't have
yeah,
a pope right now.
yeah, that's right. Much love.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, so I don't know about I
Hard to
just
protect.
don't
It's hard to
know about
predict the
the
transhuman
bugs.
future. Just to, I guess, to answer the question in summary, because I do talk about it and think about
Yeah,
it and discuss it with people a lot. The
yeah,
transhumanist agenda, let's just call it that. What is the agenda? Well, there's something really weird going on with replacing humans. Let's just put it that way.
yeah.
Robots, synthetic biology conferences in California starting Monday. There's a huge synthetic biology conference called Syn Bio Beta, and I'm going to be talking about it tomorrow, actually, with my summer co-host. And we're going to go deep into this, actually, and it's in San Jose, California, May 5th to 8th. It's sort of like a World Economic Forum of nerds. That's what I call it. They're all scientists, synthetic biology gurus, and they do refer to themselves as gurus. It's a hodgepodge of unknown people, startups, scientists, and it's all about synthetic meat, investments, businesses, synthetic everything. Crops that can send you emails when they need water. They're programming agriculture as well. The transhumanist agenda is difficult to encapsulate in a quick answer, actually. So,
Well, I want to talk about this for a second. So they do say that this century will be of biology the way last century was of chemistry. One thing I want to say about synthetic meat. Do you know anything about synthetic meat?
yeah, more than I would like to, yes.
Yeah, you have to feed it. You
Ooh,
have to
okay.
feed it. It doesn't just uh, generate itself out of the particles in the air. That's photosynthesis. Those are plants. But or whatever, like you don't. Yeah, you have to feed plants a little bit, but this you have to feed mass.
Yeah.
You're
They
not
run
going to mass
fluids
have
through these
meat.
tubes, like hundreds of tubes going through the meat, and they run chemicals through the tubes. It's just like they're trying to mimic
So,
muscles, right? And this conference is all about making
so
muscles
disgusting.
synthetically and stuff. And it's like, wow. And some of the
What
robots they're building are
what's the
using
point?
new muscle technology.
Yeah, and I think it even like emits methane and stuff. Like when you break things apart, there's no benefit to it. I mean, I assume that the point is we can grow cows and they don't want us to do that. So they need some more of the whole
But
thing. But I'm
the
looking at,
climate somewhere here, this climate stuff somewhere plays into it also, right? Because at these synthetic biology conferences, they're always talking about saving the planet
I know.
with their
I'm
science.
so sick
Oh,
of
and
that
I even wrote
bullshit.
down, in case this came up, I wrote down what they're always talking about: solving the riddle of consciousness and what it means to be
Yeah.
human. Hello, how are they going to do that with their test tubes? Both of those? I don't think so.
And what are they trying to do with it? What are
I
they're
don't know.
trying to solve the riddle of consciousness. And what was the
Oh yeah,
last
we're
part of that
almost there,
sentence?
guys. We're almost there. Sure. Every scientific study these idiots are producing says we're almost there. We can almost crack the code on what it means to be human. And every second of this is cult talk. I'm sorry, that's my belief, very strongly, that there's some kind of weird billionaire cult going on, and they're even flooding down to the mainstream with all this stuff.
Yeah. So I'm looking at this and it's in San Jose. So my
Yeah.
guess is, I mean, I don't know if
$300 to watch the streams of them talking on the stage. You can't. It's not going to be
might be
streamed
worth it.
anywhere. Not on YouTube. I've looked in previous years,
Yeah, it might be
because
worth
Martin
it.
Rothblatt was there. But please, yeah, good.
It's so I wouldn't be surprised if you could get down to In-Q-Tel and here. And I mean a lot of this. So look at Elon Musk and all of his companies. I mean, it seems to me it's just the CIA. Like it's just a huge. It's defense. It's the Defense Department making stuff they couldn't really get away with if it were considered government. And not to mention, if it were government, there would probably be some accountability and transparency. This way, they just subsidize it and these things take off. And that's what this anytime, especially even the websites, the way the
I
websites
know.
look always make me feel okay, that's like a World Economic Forum website.
The guy who runs DARPA, is going to be their special speaker. They're
There
pretty
you go.
excited about that. They're pretty excited about him. Martin Rothblatt was there last year. That was pretty
Who's
exciting for
that?
them. He's a transhuman billionaire, one of those Marvel comic like people, like Elon
Oh
Musk.
yeah, Iron Man. He's an Iron Man.
Yeah, he's one of those, like Ray Kurzweil and these guys.
Wow.
They're just cult leaders. They're rich cult leaders. That's all they are.
Immunological engineering, converging rapid response vaccine platforms, AI designed antibody libraries, and global health deployment systems to build a world no longer vulnerable to pandemics. Of course, you have to create a pandemic to. That's what I feel about the wildfires. It's like they when you read about this stuff for energy, so they have. If you, I noticed this 10 years ago. If you go to the World Economic Forum website, it'll say. Shaping the future of labor, shaping the future of energy, shaping the future of health. Like it just would always say shaping the future of. And so that's how I think of it. So when they're shaping the future of energy, and one of the big drivers of that is to prevent wildfires, which the guy who is one of the major advocates for that reshaping of energy is the guy who's, I would say, responsible for the wildfire in my town, whatever.
Oh, yeah.
So for sure, like his company made a decision that absolutely they knew was risky. Anyway,
That was a bad one. Yeah.
yeah, but so I'm just saying they need these disasters to have these things that they've been planning many years to. It's so immoral. It's so inhuman. It's hard that people can't understand. They won't believe it because it's so crazy. These people who are in this universal immunity thing, their names are here, whatever. You couldn't get them to actually evaluate the true nature of the pandemic. So I was talking to somebody about this book, Sapiens, Noah Yuval Harari, whatever.
Oh, geez, yes.
Yeah. So this book, Sapiens, a friend of mine, good friend, super smart guy. He loves this book, and he said, "You got to read it. You got to read it." Or I asked him, "What's your favorite book?" So I started to read it, and I never was going to mention it to him, but he asked me recently, "What'd you think of the book?" And I said, "Man, I couldn't get through it because the first chapter or two, all of his assumptions rest on Darwinism, which is mathematically impossible. So I can't." And the guy's like, "What do you mean?" I'm like, "What do you mean? What do I mean? It's mathematically impossible. You could probably just think about it for a second." And but
I've
they
never
don't
cracked that
question
riddle myself.
basic assumptions. Yeah, I'm happy to explain it to you.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, I mean,
it's intuitive.
I realize there's definitely, and I think that I've gotten it a few times. Like, oh, right, yeah, that makes sense. When people,
Yeah, no,
explain
you
to
want to
me,
get it to
but I just
intuitive.
don't think about it that much, like evolution stuff. Like, I
So
think about, yeah.
here's how it works. So your evolution, if you're going to have some complex adaptation that is so valuable that all of your competitors in your species will die without it, and only your descendants will live. So that's one thing. Every single mutation. So Darwin's idea was this was the origin of species. So every origin of species requires that your ancestors survived, and every competing one had to die who didn't have this adaptation. Problem is, most of the paradigm shifting adaptations are a result of numerous mutations. So if you have one allele, like the tiniest little thing that can mutate, that alone would have to, in order for all descendants to have that as the next building block for like the 10 other mutations that have to pile on to have, binocular vision or whatever, you'd have every one of those alleles, which is not a game changer in itself, would have to wipe out the rest of the population. Or somehow those alleles have to build on each other, and that's just cannot be random. That's all I'm saying. It just cannot be random. There has to be some. The way I really think it works is you pile up these mutations, and they lie dormant, and there's some communication, some subcellular intelligence that indicate that sparks it to go on or off. So you can build up a million little mutations. That's the mechanism that still remains unknown. And that's, you could call that God or whatever. The whole point of Darwinism is they wanted to eliminate God, in my opinion. So Darwinism can't really, if you couch everything in terms of survival of the fittest is the driving force for the, life on Earth, you can make a lot of assumptions and jump to a lot of conclusions about how, about why we are the way we are. But I think it's not really true, because
there's a eugenic-y background in my mind all of a sudden thinking about this theory. You know what I mean?
Yeah, they certainly, Darwinism is applied to so many different fields that, like that's another thing.
What about atheism? Do atheists take the Darwinist route in their arguments.
They would
I've been trying to get one on the podcast, but they just say there's nothing true. Get out of here, troll. I'm like, what? I just want to talk about. Would you like to come on my podcast and talk about atheism with me sometime? I mean, we're here to listen. That's all. Just get out of here. There's no truth. Get out of here. That's what they're like on the internet. On
where did it all start? And when I have,
they think everything's a debate. Yeah. Go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah. No, it's just, I'm
not to cut you off.
Saying too much anyway, but I feel like it's anytime I have like a crisis of faith, I'm like, yeah, but where do we come from? You know, and what is consciousness? Those are the two things. Where do we come from? What is consciousness? Like you just can't explain it.
I like the mystery. I don't want to know. It's like a surprise. No, a little mystery somewhere.
But one of the
these scientists in your town, you're in California, right?
Yeah.
These scientists on their little venture down there, this little WEF of nerds down there, they think that they're going to solve the riddle of what it means to be human and what's the riddle of consciousness. They actually think that. They really think it, probably. Can you imagine?
Yeah. They probably do, and I think they think of it like a machine. That's how they've thought. But I enjoyed one of your conversations recently where you were talking about C.S. Lewis, and it was a 5-part series. You're talking to a guy about
he's like from Kentucky, a philosophy teacher from Kentucky.
Yeah, it was very interesting. And one of the things that you guys were talking about was that like the natural law or whatever is written on your heart. You were talking about Paul and C.S. Lewis and all that. So to me, like, I'm not going to solve the riddle of consciousness. That we're no closer than like Socrates' day. I'm not going to figure out where the universe came from. Again, we are no closer. But what you can know, and this is why I always like misunderstand what Gnostic is. Like Gnostic means to know, but Gnosticism, I think, is whatever, very controversial. I don't know enough about it, but I do think you know the difference between right and wrong. You know what's good, and it's there. You have to respect that. In my opinion, you will be held responsible to respect what's been imprinted on your heart, that you have to go out of your way to avoid acknowledging. And it's not just consciousness, it's conscience, and we've got it. So what more do you need? Like, you just don't waste your time trying to figure that stuff out. You're not getting any closer.
Well, C.S. Lewis, he pointed out that like a Taoist idea, he didn't like bring Taoism into his idea of not nature, God, whatever. And he comes out of a Christian apologetic. Yeah. I'm not even sure what that is, but that's what the guy told me on the podcast. I was like, oh, yeah. Okay. But he said, no, it's more like a Taoism thing where it's the way of nature. To what it means to be human. Like nature you'll know that when the cool breeze hits you or whatever, or the forest smells so nice today, whatever's going on. It's like, okay, it's that simple. Maybe and there's a click right there somewhere. So that would be like a Taoist twist on the post-human, or what does it mean to be human? Maybe there's a clue. Just watch a tree growing and whatever. There's a clue there. What does it mean to be human? So I love that. So I invited him on the podcast. We went deep into this concept.
Yeah.
Actually, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know enough about that. I've only dabbled occasionally in like other ways of thinking, but one thing I really liked were the Yoga Sutras, which are pretty old. They predate Christ, but they foreshadow Christ. And the copy of the book I have is by Swami Satchidananda, but he said something super interesting. And again, it went to kind of like just acknowledge the truth inside yourself. And that's a thing of Catholicism. Like you actually have a lot of rules, but your conscience is your ultimate guide. So you can't defy your own conscience no matter what the rules are. But what he said, Satchidananda said, the question of God is unanswerable and irrelevant because you can't answer it. And it doesn't matter because the answer to how to live is the same, whether you're preparing for an afterlife or you just want to make the most of this life. And his answer was, it's freedom from desire. You want to be rich. You want to have no money worries. Stop worrying about money, stop wanting. And that is kind of, I think, the foundation of
asceticism.
A lot spiritual, yeah.
Even the German romanticists, philosophers, our friends, Nietzsche and the boys there, they brought in asceticism into their philosophy a lot about they're trying to answer questions, but a lot of the guys were godless heathens,
Yeah.
let's be honest. But note to, you said some interesting things there that we could definitely talk about, but gee
I mean,
whiz.
yeah,
We're going pretty deep down the rabbit hole here.
I imagine. Well, that's why I like talking to you because you think about
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah.
So
Ooh.
but I would
But
imagine.
you're so good at laying things out. You lay out this buffet of ideas. I'm just like, oh my goodness, I don't know where to begin.
Oh, sorry. Well, plus you did have a stroke, so I should probably be
Yeah.
easier
Oof.
on you.
Yeah. Slow down
How's
a
that?
little.
How are you doing anyway? Like what?
Oh, good. If people don't know what a stroke is based, and I don't want to go into this deep, it's a
Yeah,
pretty
go ahead.
personal
Go for
issue.
it.
It's I mean, like I almost died. It's pretty serious. If you're not, you have 4 hours to get to the hospital.
Yeah.
If you lay there on the floor or whatever for too long, but luckily I was with my wife at the time.
Oh,
She's a nurse.
thank God.
So it's like,
Yeah,
whoa,
she
phew.
knew. And
It's
they
like
give you something. Was it steroids? What do they give you in the first 4
well,
hours?
they shot me up with something that has a 6% chance of killing me.
Yeah, I believe
Mm.
that. Yeah, that's a good reason to do. They call that a black box warning or something. I'll never give it to any.
She had to sign something
Yeah,
first.
but if it's when you're in
oof.
this, but you have to take it.
Yeah, clot buster. That's what they call it. The clot
So
buster. Oof.
how did this happen to you?
From
Are
an
you
injury.
vaxxed?
No, it's not. I know. People always think that, don't they? But no, it's understandable though. But my wife is a nurse, and there's a lot of shedding that happened on her during the vaccine rollout when she was a healthcare hero. There was women's
Oh,
effects, not to get personal.
I
So I can
know.
confirm many things that happened during COVID.
Yeah.
Many strange things that people are denying who have never been there on the front row for it, like I have.
Right.
But anyway.
Interesting.
And
Do
I
you
work
have
in
a show
hospitals
like
too.
that?
I'm actually in medical school right now, actually. Not to be a doctor.
You're in medical school? Who's in medical
Yeah.
school?
Like her and I both work in hospitals a lot over our life.
Oh.
Yeah. So I'm also familiar with like, how masks work and stuff.
Well, let me ask you, because I don't want to go, that could be a whole nother show. Do you
I know.
have shows that you can like send me a couple of links I can put in the show notes that because you said people don't understand the things that happen that we saw firsthand. Have you talked about that on your show at length?
Yeah, the COVID scam comes up quite often because
Yeah.
that's always a center of
Yeah.
the mandala of the show, if you want to call it like that, right? So
Yeah.
centerpiece, everything crops out of that. Sometimes I think about ending the show because I've already had all the conversations.
Well, if you're going to focus exclusively on COVID, I have seen that with other shows. You're going to have to move on. You're going to have to do what makes you happy. But
Well, the
why did you get a
post-human
stroke?
transhumanism
Yeah.
thing, I can't get off that. That seems to be my big focus, transhumanism.
If you're
but yeah.
engaged. I'm starting to do movie reviews and I want to bring back my cocktail hours. Like that's, I'm just, because of this fire, you would not believe, like this morning, I guess the jackhammer curfew ends at 7 a.m. on a Saturday. Yesterday, I heard the backup things at 4:30 a.m. So, because hardly anybody lives up here anymore. So that's just a free for all, but it's kind of a unique experience to observe the psychological impact of such a radical. I wonder, people in war zones where there's uncertainty, refugees, they don't know what their future lies, plus the destruction.
You're in California, your neighborhood burnt down, you're the only house standing in the whole neighborhood. The big California fire, because 100 people might watch it on my channel, so they should know this.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. So there's a few, my house and the houses across the street and next to me. So like I'm in a little bubble of which I attribute to my mother and also my neighbor who stayed all night and put the fires out. But that's it. Like everything else is totally gone.
Yeah, you're wasteland. Yeah.
And it's really it's a weird. I was reading something about future shock, which is a Tavistock thing, where if they throw too many things at you in a changing world that you can't keep up with the decisions, you can't absorb the information, you get a little you just can't function very well. Some people like really lose their mind. I just like
Twitter does that to me. Twitter does that to me. And since I'm recovering from a stroke and I literally have mild brain damage, I really do. So when I'm on Twitter, I get lost immediately. I stay on my own homepage.
It's that kind of stuff. So now I'm kind of moving a little bit towards like getting my head out of like current events. I need a little break. But how could you possibly get a stroke? May I ask? Like I think you told me once, but I just my mind
weightlifters, like people can get it from working hard, lifting things. It's a carotid artery dissection. Okay, that's what it was. And you know what happened? I coughed for a month. I had a bad cough. I coughed for a month. Really bad cough too. I'm like crazy cough. I don't know what it was. Maybe it's COVID. I don't know. But it broke an artery.
Wow.
And I had 2 weeks of not sleeping due to extreme headaches, like being hit in the head. You used to talk about jackhammers. Someone was using one of them on the side of my
Before
head
or
for 2
after?
weeks. For 2 weeks prior to the stroke, we didn't know what it was. We thought it
Where
was
exactly was it in your head? Point to where it hurt.
well. This is where the
Right. But the 2
injury
weeks
would
of
have happened.
headaches, where were they?
Right
Yeah.
there, and all around, and like eyes exploding, feelings, and it's not a headache.
Wow.
Like it's being hit in the head with a hammer. That's how I found in very different places, and I couldn't sleep. So anyway, it's a long story. Actually, it's a very long. It's a 2 week story of actually hell, not knowing what was wrong.
Wow.
And doctors, like, oh my god, the doctors are in here. You got to wear a mask everywhere you go. Sit here,
Which
do
isn't
this.
good for you.
I walked into the hospital first time as a sick person, and she handed me she took a pair of tweezers, grabbed the mask with the tweezers, rubber gloves on, and handed me the mask behind the screen of glass. And I was just like,
Are you
I got a
kidding?
headache. Like,
Yeah, I'm not doing that.
I'm not doing this. And then I
Poor
had a
guy.
stroke. And I did a podcast with an actual Marxist. And if everybody goes back to that actual episode, it's got a big hammer and sickle on it. I talked to an actual from the American Communist Party, one of their head boys running that show down
That
there.
should be interesting.
He's a really educated guy, man.
Who was it?
And
Can
I
I write
can't. It wasn't a debate. We're just talking. You have to go. Oh,
Yeah, just send me the link. I'll put it
is
in
it
the show
Ukrainian
notes.
name or Russian name?
Yeah. Just put it in the show. I'll put it in the show notes if you send me a link.
Yeah, and I got the Soviet flag right on the thing on my Rumble channel.
Well, people go to Freedom Conversation on Rumble and they can find everything there.
Yeah,
Is the
Freedom
best place
Conversation.
to go.
Yeah, Rumble is my only place, really. And I'm probably going to ditch Twitter, and that would be my last social media. But anyway, about the stroke, I guess wrap up that conversation, maybe.
Yeah.
Anyway, I had a stroke.
Yeah.
You know,
Wow.
it's crazy. Oh my God.
And how long ago was that?
And a snowstorm. There's a snowstorm. So the ambulance arrived, and I live way off the beaten track.
I was going to say, you sound like 4 hours might not be enough.
Yeah, well, it was an immediate call to the ambulance because my wife woke up. She's like, "What the hell happened?" Because I hit the floor at like midnight. I got at midnight for a drink of water and just bam on the floor.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah, I didn't know what was going on. Really, it's painless, but I did die. I think in the ambulance. Briefly.
Wow.
I wasn't sure.
How long ago was this?
January 30th, 2025. It happened. The infamous night. So 3 months, 3 days or so. Yeah. 33.
Okay. So you're doing pretty good for 3 months. We're going to get you back 100%. Do you feel like you're 95%?
I'm an extremely healthy 47-year-old man.
Yeah.
I'm very active in the outdoors. I'm a gardener, farmer, dude. I was a chef all my life. That's all.
Nice.
But now I walk around like I'm about 70 years old. So
No.
It takes a month. It takes a year to recover from a stroke.
Yeah. Okay. Keep doing it. I've noticed even things that people are like, oh, you're just getting old. I'm like, no, I'm fixing that. Like just weird things. My feet hurt, like whatever.
Yeah.
Like,
I get more energy every day. I get more energy.
Figuring it out.
Yeah. And I got a registered nurse here in the house. And she says, you're getting better every day, you know. And so, okay, good.
All right.
Good sign.
Excellent.
And I'm supposed to be 100% eventually.
Do you have any health tips between your homesteading and your hospital experience and your lovely wife? Like what keeps you, what do you think, what do you rely on to stay healthy? Like take magnesium or?
She's big in the magnesium.
Yeah. Magnesium
she's a big magnesium freak.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Me, I just try to eat good food, fresh, organic if I can get it, support local stuff. The usual.
And you grow your own chickens, I presume?
We're getting our first 6 chickens in June. The coop is ready. Just trying to get the fence finished.
That'd be great. So our neighbor had
just
chickens,
for eggs. Yeah, we don't kill. We're Buddhist here. We don't kill, but for the eggs, sure.
They wouldn't lay for a couple of months after the fires. They would not lay. And they started laying and my neighbor's not back, but the chickens were back there. So then me and the guy who were the only ones up here the guy who kept the houses from burning down, basically. We've been eating these eggs. They're amazing. And then they took the chickens away. They're like, no, that's toxic. I'm like, do you know how many filters it's going through between 3 months ago when there was a fire and the worms were feeding the chickens from the store? They wouldn't lay when it was no good. But anyways, now our chickens are gone. But
I'll have to learn all this stuff about chickens.
Gotta be nice to them or they won't lay.
Yeah.
But
food, man. Food is the answer to everything. Food is the answer to all of the problems of society, and people don't want to hear it. My simple agorist solutions, but I'm not here to. I don't pontificate solutions to people. I just live my own life as one. That's
Yeah.
all I'm going to do. And then I empower my family and my community. That's it.
I think that is why I've always thought this, like, people say, "Well, who'll build the roads? We need regulations, antitrust, whatever," and my
I
answer
fixed my
is,
road. I literally fixed my road.
yeah,
I do.
you don't need anything. All you need is food, water, clothing, shelter, whatever, love,
And I
and
always
they're
add,
not
yeah,
scarce. They're not
yeah,
scarce.
yeah. I would add one thing to that sack of the food, shelter, clothing, and books of spiritual wisdom.
Nice. I did always say the one book that I don't have that I need is the Chinese English dictionary, so that
Interesting.
people in the future will be able to read these books. But yeah,
Well,
books are
oof.
important. Wait, during the fire,
Oh, oh.
the books, my top shelf of books are the only things I took that and like my little gold.
Yeah, you almost lost all those books. Oh my goodness, that would have
I
been terrible.
know. And that's why I know I'm in absolutely no danger from the deep state, because if I were targeted for anything ever, it would have been these books. And there was definitely an opportunity. I was actually afraid that this is where, you would be targeted for fire just individually. But yeah, so there you are. I guess I'm no threat. Oh well. Too
Oh my
bad.
god.
Too
Phew.
bad.
Yeah.
So, well, there were a few I want to make sure that um
To stay healthy, you got to eat right. That's it. You got to source that food properly, because I think that the food system is actually becoming a weapon. It's a business and a weapon. They don't care. They do
oh
not
no.
care.
And what about
They
water?
take the cow manure and spray it on the lettuce fields. You know what I'm saying? It's unbelievable.
Are
Anyway,
you
it's
a
disgusting.
vegetarian?
No, no, no.
So what about the water? What do you think about the
I live on a
quality of the
lake. I got
water?
no.
Yeah.
Oh,
How do
water's
you
good.
process it?
Oh, me? How do I
Yeah,
process
what
my
water
water
do you
here?
drink?
Oh, I got a well, drilled well, which is great. Drilled. That's 100 years of water down there. Really, water that has never seen the sun before. It's from the pits of the earth.
Wow.
Although it probably
Unfiltered?
seeps in, and
You drink that unfiltered?
yeah. Well, there's a lot of iron in our water, so it can come out a little red. But we do have a big filter system that runs once per day, makes a big noise, but it comes out clear and fresh. And I live right on a
Really?
little lake, freshwater lake, right here out front. So, thank
Smart.
goodness, check that off the list. Water concerns, check, done, no problem.
So I have two more things for you.
Okay.
I want to hear about any last comments you want to make about Canadian media, how you get your news, or any of that. And also, what is your good black pill?
Okay, those are probably related. Our media has no Fox News, no whatever. And the Canadian media is three outlets, all controlled by the Liberal government. We have no mainstream news that is popular at all that reflects a different value other than the transgender mask, Palestine. Anyway, I don't talk about geopolitics on my podcast. I just avoid it. If it comes up, I'll talk about
Yeah.
it. I have opinions. But they're very controlled. It's military grade propaganda. Let's just say what it is. And it's screwing over the country, and it's destroying the country. The media is destroying the country from the inside out. Okay, so that's my thought on the media in Canada. I watched it last night just to prepare for the podcast because I don't watch it. It's literally hard to watch. It's so powerful.
Yeah.
It makes me actually sick to my stomach, almost
Yeah.
literally. I turned it on last night, and I recommend anybody go CBC News last night. The National, that's the big one that comes on 10 o'clock, and just click play for the first 5 minutes, and you'll be like, wow, what is going on in CBC
Really?
News? Yes, it was all about Carney, Trump, Nazis were brought up immediately as soon as the thing started. Because it's 80th anniversary of something that happened over there.
They're bringing Nazis back. So, I mean,
We had a
they're
SS
speaking them into
Nazi.
existence.
There was an SS soldier in the Canadian Parliament while Zelensky was also there.
Yeah.
And everybody cheered this guy, and they turned all the cameras up to this SS Nazi guy.
What the hell?
While Zelensky was in the building. Anybody go watch that clip. The whole
but
place
you know
erupted
that Zelensky is, the Azov battalion is actually Nazis. They
I
couldn't
know.
get the Ukrainian regular army to invade the East. So they had to tap into, well, they are not really Ukrainians because they speak Russian. It's like, so
rabbit hole.
I have absolutely no sympathy whatsoever for trolling Zelensky.
It was some sort of occult Nazi ritual right here in our own
I believe
Parliament building of some kind. I don't know. It was really weird. Big blow up afterwards too. But
I remember we did get some of that. We heard about it.
That's just so weird. It's just so weird.
Yeah, weird stuff like that. I'm like, I can't
Like a real
spend
SS guy, they're all
time.
cheering. It's
Like,
like
what was he? Where'd he
he's like,
come
"Hey."
from?
And he's sitting right by the head of the Canadian Armed Forces in the balcony, right beside him.
Yeah,
I was like, "What
but
is this?"
yeah,
And Zelensky's down there too, and they're all cheering and looking up at him.
why?
Yaroslav Hunka is his name. He was a
Oh my
volunteer in the
gosh, that's
SS. He volunteered.
perfect. Yeah, definitely a concentration camp guard name.
You can look into his history very clearly. He's on the internet. He's in
Yeah, I
history
mean,
books and
but
stuff of where he was operating.
that's a psyop. Like somebody created that moment on
I haven't
purpose
figured it
for
out. I haven't
sure.
figured it out. It's just weird. Oh my
Well,
goodness.
some of these things they build up over years. You don't know where it's leading, but it goes somewhere.
Yeah. So anyway, that's our media situation.
So what's your black pill? What's your good black pill?
Well, I was thinking about people talk about the pills, right?
Yeah, I know.
You gotta get red pill and whatever. And the black pill is like this bad thing. Because we talk about the pills sometimes lately on the podcast. Like, what's the white pill solution or what's the black pill problem and all this? It's like I was thinking the black pill maybe is a good pill to take because you face facts very, very
Yeah.
quickly. Mark Carney is leading this country, which might mean that China or the globalists, I don't know, people are saying China's running Canada now, or the globalists are running Canada now. Either way, the WEF, whoever they are, behind the scenes, is running Canada for sure. And I would be concerned if I was an American. Actually, I'm sorry. Warning from Canada, absolutely, with this guy. That's my thoughts and feelings on Mark Carney. I'm actually a little bit scared, to be perfectly honest with you. And we think about going to Switzerland, where my wife has a citizenship.
Ooh.
And it's so cool, isn't it? It's like, wow, if we flee Canada, we're going straight to Switzerland. It's like even if World War III breaks out.
Dude, Switzerland is my husband asked
the
me
worst
once
place to go, right?
No, the
Probably.
best.
Well, okay.
That would be the best place to go. My husband said to me once, what's at the bottom of the rabbit hole? And I said, I don't know, but I'm pretty sure it's at the top of a mountain in Switzerland. It's the eye of the storm, but it's where they live. It's the most protected place. I think it's the most protected place on earth. And I visited there a few times, and I remember not that long ago, a couple of years, we traveled extensively in Switzerland. We had friends there. And when we drove to Italy. I mean,
I did that too.
The second you could like stand on the Switzerland side and look over on the Italy side, and it looked like like a chain link fence between in an Iraq prison camp or something. It was just
that's right.
The immigration, just as soon as you cross the border, it's just so crazy to see that policy alone makes all the difference. And even just the landscape, the stores, the crowds, the people, like the languages. And I was like, Switzerland can get away with this? Like, why do they not succumb? And they don't succumb.
It's interesting what you point out.
Nobody pressures them.
Yeah, I didn't catch that when I was there because I did drive all around Switzerland too for 3 weeks, and I was at the Bank of International Settlements. I was like, "Ooh,
wow!"
Yeah, I was standing there. Ooh.
Yeah, yikes! Was there like just a giant black cloud and
It felt weird. Well, my wife, she lived in that town where it is. That's where she grew up. I shouldn't give her too much personal information about her, but she's from Switzerland. That's fine. So she grew up in that town where that bank is. So we went there, and she said, when you walk through the door, it's a different country almost, right? It's it's one of those things like the Bank of England.
Yeah, that probably doesn't have the laws. Yeah.
Yeah. Ooh, yeah, scary. Anyway.
So you have a fan here.
But the difference between Italy and Switzerland, man, that was very striking, hey? Like the roads were not great and stuff a little bit. In comparison, just comparing the two.
I'm just saying
in Switzerland, every bridge is everything is so beautiful. Yeah,
they pay the farmers to grow flowers to adorn the countryside. Yeah. So I was joking with these people who still don't get it. I was like, oh, hey, what Dave, will you do with all this garbage when the chips are down? Where are your cows? You need cows to eat that shit so that you can get some milk and survive. They're like, as if an American can't appreciate flowers. Like, oh, you think that's garbage? I'm like, no, I see that it's flowers. They're pretty, but I can't eat them. You need something that will eat them. Just make sure you have a
grocery store. Yeah, man, the grocery stores there were so fresh and awesome, and everything was great.
Oh yeah, no, they
don't put eggs in the fridge, which is weird. There was eggs.
Yeah, if you don't wash them, you don't have to put them in the fridge.
Right. Yeah,
you should remember that for your future chicken growing. But they have false chalet. I have a book of, I guess, like houses that were really just arms depots that were painted like houses. They have hollow mountains that are full of I don't know what gold. All the citizens are required. I don't know if they enforce the law, required by law to have military grade weapons in their home because they're all in the army. I mean,
there's bunkers.
yeah,
Like we
yeah.
checked it. Let's go down to check out the bunker. Every
You could
house
be
had
on the
one.
inside of that iron curtain
Yeah.
or whatever, that wall, instead
And
of the
underground
outside.
bunkers there are for sale. And
I
we were
I
driving
would
down the
not
highway.
worry.
She goes, "There's another one. You can tell by these little towers and all these underground bunkers." It's pretty interesting. Anyway, apparently Hitler said, "We'll get Switzerland on the way back." They're a prickly pig, that's what he said, because the shape of Switzerland on a map is like a pig, and wild pigs actually do run rampant in Switzerland. So they call them. Hitler said, "We'll get them on the way back." They're a prickly pig, and you damn right, because when you drive through those mountain valleys, there's cannons pointing at you, and that's why no one has ever conquered it.
Yeah. Oh
Same as
no, that's where you want to
Afghanistan.
be, man.
Yeah,
They
sure.
aren't like they shouldn't have debased their money or whatever. I can't remember what they did about the money, but yeah, I'm not advocating that you move into the castle, but I mean, you might want to save yourself. I don't know if you have kids or plan to have kids, but you could definitely want
Canada's
to,
about to get
like,
weird. Canada's about to get really weird.
refuge. Yeah.
I think with the green economy agenda, whatever that is, they're stepping on the gas here. You
Mhm.
watch out. We're already prepared for whatever's next. The operation goes on long enough. People are living in a stew of lies. Alexander
Yeah.
Solzhenitsyn again. Don't live
Yes.
by lies.
Yes.
You can't do
So
it.
let's come full circle on that. So that's where, when you started to wake up, you were reading Solzhenitsyn.
Mhm.
And what do you I've never read him at all. So what
Well,
should
just
I
the
do?
Gulag Archipelago, the classic.
Oh, read that one. I've got that.
During lockdowns. Oh my goodness. When you read a book like that during a lockdown, and especially the Canadian level of lockdown, you're just like, everyone's going along with this.
Yeah.
Right.
I wonder, well, it's good to know that speaking out is supposedly has some value, because I don't know what else to do. I don't have a lot of hope for the process. I think, I do want people should fight things in court if they can, property encroachment, stuff like that, because if you don't exercise those rights, they probably will, they'll set precedent after precedent that tramples on them. But short of that, yeah, it's good. I mean, obviously the word matters, or they wouldn't have 24/7 propaganda everywhere that's totally coordinated.
Yeah. And it's weird to be an anarchist or agorist in these times, because you think you should do something, join a political party, go do something. But, I think we need strong people too. We need anarchists too. You need people to grow food for the community when things go weird.
It's the remnant. You're a
And
repository.
I care about my neighbors.
You're a seed bank.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. So I don't know. And you're strong, healthy. I'm learning skills. Surely I'm an asset to the country somehow. Even if I don't vote or whatever. Yeah, I did vote this year. Okay, fine. I guess I'm not an anarchist anymore. I voted for the first time in 20 years.
Yeah, I'm never voting again. I mean, maybe local stuff will matter here because of the fire.
I felt so dirty, and it was very dystopian, by the way, what happened.
Once they took out Syria, I was like, you know what? This is a fucking empire. I have nothing to do with it. I'm not acting like I'm want one emperor over another. Forget that. It's over. I don't think I don't think you can. I don't think you're going to get any.
The ship is sinking. We got to build rafts. Everybody needs to build their own raft.
You're not going to get anywhere, I don't think, building up a party of resistance, because even like architects and engineers for 9/11 Truth or whatever, I shouldn't actually talk about that because I don't know specifically, but I talked to Richard Gage, who was one of the founders. I don't think he's affiliated with it anymore. Yes, thank you. He asked me to introduce him to a few people, and I'm sure I did.
Yeah, you did.
Yeah. But like anything that gets real loft, I think gets, whatever. I'm not going to say infiltrated or bastardized or whatever, but it loses its focus. And I think the best thing you can do is those things that those basics that we need, that everyone can access still, that aren't scarce, that will insulate you from ever needing anything else. That's food, water, clothing, shelter, love, the ability to defend yourself, heat. So these things, if you know how to do them, we don't want to lose that knowledge. Somebody needs to make the pickles. Someone needs to know how to make the pickles.
Farmers all around, like cattle farmers, small scale, like two cows, 5 sheep, and 3 kids running around and stuff, and a dog. That type of old OG stuff still out here, and the oldest part of Canada, 1700s, was settled here.
That's amazing. And if it were warmer or better, it would have been ruined by now anyway. So you have living on the fringes. Anyway,
Yeah.
well, Dave, it was so really enjoyable to start my Saturday with you. What do you want to tell people? Anything you want to tell them how to find you? What your favorite show is?
Send help. No.
Send help.
Send help.
You can go to Switzerland. Like, don't underestimate
Yeah.
that, man. You can go to Switzerland. Yeah. I can go to Ireland. Not the best alternative.
No final thoughts or words necessarily, but I'm a big fan of your show, and thank you for inviting me. It was a great pleasure. I have a Rumble channel where I do my little videos, and I have Twitter, which I'm going to probably get rid of around June 1st. When I step away from social media.
What's your Twitter handle?
At Freedom Convo Pod. Capital F, capital C,
I don't think
capital
that
P.
Yeah. I don't think it's case sensitive. But it was hard for me to find your Rumble channel. It's not really
people say that.
So what is it? Can you rattle it off to me?
Yeah, I got it right here. Let me just
Sorry,
read it.
stroke guy.
No, it's fine. Hey man, I had a stroke. Go easy on me, okay? No, that's fine.
Dude, I would use that for maybe the rest of my life. Except for it would make me look old, and I can't have that. So
oh yeah, here we go. So at the Freedom Convo podcast, but there's capital letters to each of those words. At the Freedom Convo podcast, all one word, one Rumble.
Yeah,
with the capital
and that's
letters.
it. It doesn't. You don't have to write Rumbly stuff on it.
I don't think so, but it's the Freedom Conversation podcast is sort of the full name, the Freedom Conversation.
Yeah, but I searched for that and it didn't come up.
It's weird. I know people have said they can't find me on Rumble, but I don't know, man. I think I'm over the target. Doesn't know what that means.
Yes.
Shadow banned.
Hey, and one thing I want to say about Rumble, I don't want Rumble to play. I don't want Rumble to play commercials on my stuff. I don't really get any money for it, and they bombard with commercials, and it's annoying because I'm growing there, but I just want people to know, like, I think I pay $10 a month, and the ad revenue that I get doesn't even cover my $10 a month, and it's just constant commercials. There are hacks though where you can stop the commercials. I think the Watchman Privacy, Gabriel Custodiet, he knows those hacks, so you can reach out to him directly.
I don't get those, so I do wonder what's going on. And I heard someone said
you don't have commercials.
There's like a Freemason join the Freemasons ad on my show one time.
Yeah, do you not have commercials?
I don't see commercials when I watch my own material back.
Right.
I never see one.
Okay.
But so you're saying there's a lot of commercials, hey?
I get complaints about that, but I try to turn them off. I don't have commercials on my YouTube or anything.
Rumble just lets me say whatever I want, and I play music that I don't own, and they don't.
Yeah, I know. I loved your
I like just the Wild West of Rumble
song.
Yeah, the coal mining song. Yeah. Kentucky coal mining disaster song.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I got the Rumble there. If people can find it, that's cool. But Twitter has a link. You just click it and it'll take you there. So I'll put it in the private chat. I'll just type it in there exactly how it's spelled.
All right.
Okay. Twitter's the place for.
All right. Well, don't go away, Dave. I'm going to say goodbye to the people, and thank you all for joining us on a Saturday. Let me see. You have it in the private chat. Let me.
Yeah.
And what is that? Your Twitter?
That's the X. Yeah. Just go there to Twitter X. Then you can click the link and it should take you straight to the Rumble channel. And that's all my.
That's right. Media. Yeah. There you go. That is how I find you. All right. Thank you, Canadian Dave from the Freedom Conversation podcast. Very interesting. I'm glad that you're doing well. We'll have to speak to you again soon. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. And we'll talk to you again soon.
Bye-bye.